No, not mouth to mouth. Not mouth to mouth. We're getting our shift here handy enough. Now it's time to do the elephant. And it knows it. Look at the look I'm getting. If that fixes it, that'll be a very quick and easy fix. Huh?
There's a bee on you.
There's a bee on me?
On your back.
Where?
It was on your back.
She's picking at me here. Getting a right old kick of it. Right, so we're over here on the other farm. And we're over here at this area that I sometimes talk about. I don't think you've ever been over here too often. But this is behind the shed. There's the shed there where the cattle is. This is an area here that's here a long time. And you can see it's an absolutely fantastic looking place. These are all lime trees. A little bit more rare than what you would normally find. But they are lime trees. And they used to go away over there. But unfortunately, one by one, we have been losing a few. We haven't lost any in the last 15 years. But we did lose about 4 more out there about 20 years ago, which was a shame because it's a lovely spot. I was told there used to be a big mansion of a house up here. There's a guy who lives in our locality who was big into all that history and stuff. And when I was building my shed, he came up to me one day and he was telling me about it, because when we were ploughing this whole bit of land here, we raised an awful lot of old red brick and stuff, so there obviously was buildings there at some stage. I'm told there was a big mansion there and it actually burned down a long time ago. I don't know if that's right or wrong. But some of the brick that we found were all scorched, so they either were from a chimney or it could have been actually a house that burned down. There used to be a mill down at the bottom of this field, not in this field, in the other field below, an old flax mill, and there was loads of them dotted around, but there was quite a busy one down here at the bottom of this, way down deep. It's quite a steep hill going down there, it's nearly straight down. I'm presuming this could have been another laneway, but I'm not sure where it would have led, because when you go past the last 2 trees, it's just straight down. That's the kind of an area we're going to plant a few trees in, because it's just deadly dangerous. But I'll tell you one thing, even now we've got a lovely fog out at the moment. Some people might call it quite eerie, but it's absolutely lovely. It's just so peaceful. There's not a noise kind. I like this area, really like this area. You could sit down here in an evening and just chillax, turn yourself off from the rest of the world for a while. So what I did yesterday, I came over here and I ran all the silage fields and I gathered about 5 or 6 of them boxes there of between stones and branches and just stuff that falls down out of the hedges or rolls out over the hedges, and just cleaned everything up. It's a vital little job to do, because it's better in the box and dumped than been in the mower. No length of time and have a full box of stuff filled. I'll be over again maybe in the autumn time and gather a few bits and pieces again, but for now it looks a lot better. There's no branches or stones out in the field, which is important, and I have a wee bit just to gather out here than the silage field, just a small bit, and I've that trot to take away, an old trot to take away as well. There's my father over there, if you can see him in the distance on the quad. He's having a quick drive around the silage fields, just checking the way things is. I hope he doesn't go near them steep parts, because I do dread when he's on the quad. Just don't want him going into a bad spot, because you never know what can happen. A quad can slip very easily. He's alright. Have to just keep an eye on it. Now, just another little job I want to do here. So any of you guys that watch the sheep game, that's Cammy there in Scotland. Absolutely excellent channel. Upbeat, positive, a good, honest, hard-working lad. But if you ever watch Cammy's channel, you'll see that he's on his quad quite a lot. And one thing I noticed was the mirrors on his quad. That's what I was looking at. I noticed he had a good set of mirrors in his quad, and I used to have a mirror here in mine. Just an old thing we got of an old motorbike. It was an old second-hand one years ago, and it broke off. Now, I don't really need the mirrors, but my father is on this quad, and they do make it very handy for him. So for his sake, we're going to put 2 mirrors on, not 1, 2. And I got these on Amazon. They cost me €25, which they're cheap, they're plasticky, they're not the best built in the world, but you know what? The mirrors didn't cost me the earth, and if it makes the thing a lot safer for him, it's worth it. So these little mounts here, which obviously you have to mount here somewhere, so I'm going to have to move this. This is the horn for the quad here, so I'm going to have to move that probably back out of the way and get this up as close as possible here. There's a hole on the bottom, and I presume the hole is to let any water out that gets into the casing, so I'd say that one goes there. Just slide it back ever so slightly, because it doesn't need to be where it is, and leave it there for now. I'll get this lad and mount it first. right? And I presume our mirror just sits on here. Okay, so it needs to be there. So we need to tighten that one. Oh, happy with that. That sits down over that to keep it tidy. Yeah, just tighten it up a wee bit better down here. And it's set on lovely and easily. Not causing any problems there, just have to tighten that. Job's a good one. Let's play on the other side. I like him. I think it's money well spent. Up here now. Yeah. Powerful job. 25 quid, Amazon. If you're looking for a set yourself, all I did was search quad mirrors. And these popped up. I see a little fault here in my tank. I have to figure out what's going on there. F2 keeps flashing every so often in this tank. I'll just make a quick phone call to the boys that fitted and find out what's going on. But the most important thing is it's cooling okay, and that's all that's important. Just one of those electrical problems that are all too common nowadays. Just when we're still on this thing, I'm after removing the globe, as we call it. And I made a quick phone call to the guys that fitted it and just to ask them their opinion on it, because I was reading through the brochure and it said F2 stands for water not getting up to the proper temperature when it's washing. So a couple of things that could cause that is when the milk was only after being collected there about an hour ago and then the wash cycle was only after finished, if there was a little bit of ice on the bottom of the tank and cooled down the hot water as it came in, that could cause that. But there's another little thing that he told me to check which I wouldn't have had a clue about. Down here we have, this is like a little silicone tube here, and in that little silicone tube this guy here goes down. He's just held on by the Juby clip and sits down. Can you see the white through there? When the level of the water comes up and touches the bottom of that probe, it shuts off the water basically coming into the tank. You right there? What's up? My two companions are here. Yeah, they wanted to know all about it as well. So he told me to mark the top of the probe level with the top of this silicone pipe, which I did. Then he told me to loosen the Juby clip and raise it about 1/4 inch, which you can see there, nearly 1/4 inch, around 1/4 inch, and then tighten it up again and see. And I'll just allow a little bit more hot water into the tank to do the wash, and that might solve the problem. So it's worth a try. If that fixes it, that'd be a very quick and easy fix. When these tanks go wrong, especially when it's electronic, it's usually a little bit more complicated than that. But if that works, that'd be a great fix. We'll know in a few days' time when we put the next wash cycle through it. I'm just after scraping the slats here and I'm having a look. The other's not full yet. It's nice and quiet. That's the last of our heifers. But I always watch. See these little hollows here on the back? If you watch her walking, just watch the little hollows as she walks by. Do you see that? Oh, that's another indication. That's the start of the cycle of the bone starting to drop and getting prepared to calve. So I have to be very careful of that and keep an eye on her. 90% sure she's not going to calve. But just for safety, I just throw her in a calving pen because she's quiet, she'll not do any harm. At least you can keep an eye on her better there and she'll not get into any problems. She's the last of the heifer. She's extremely quiet, as you can see there. But the quiet ones, believe it or not, can give you more hassle than any of them when they go into the parlour, because they have no fear of you. It'll be a lot of work when they go into the parlour. Hopefully not. Fingers crossed the rest of the heifers have been really quiet. Apart from the pet. The one that's the quietest of the lot, she's a bit of a devil. What she does is she puts her head onto the cow in front of her and gives her a couple of lifts out of it just to kind of upset the cow in front. And she'll do it to the one behind as well. She's not looking for anything, she just does it all the time. I don't know why. She's a wee bit of a bully and it does disturb them quite a bit when they're being milked. She's not that bad, but still, she's the quietest animal we have, and she's the only one that can be a bit of a devil in the parlour. Never moves milk-wise, never puts a foot wrong, never has. But it's just she likes to pick on every cow that's around her. She's the boss in her head, and she likes to show it. Right, so we're in here with the calves, and I have to say it's a warm day. The first warm day we've had of the year. It's actually a great day. Grass, you can actually smell it growing. But one little thing the heat does bring is this shed here that a lot of these have seen now if you follow the channel. This is kind of where our youngest calves go for a short period of time. Now I have openings here. Sometimes you see a bag across them just to keep them closed, but they'll be open this time of year, allow enough airflow through the shed. We also leave that door opened, not all day. Don't want to create a draft either, but it's very warm today, and this house is quite stuffy. Even the cold there, wouldn't you take a stuffy?
Yeah.
Stuffy house is no good for calves. It's definitely a no-no. And I can get it today for the first time. And it's always the same this time of year. So calves need nice circulation of fresh air. So we're going to move this one here for the day. Them two there are still very young yet. So I'm not going to just touch them yet. Just leave the door open. There's enough as long as you don't have too many calves in the house. So with 2 calves in this big house here, they're fine. That's the one we thought was a Belgian blue. And thankfully it's not. We're going to put a jacket on it, even if it is warm. The other house where we're putting it has more air circulation around it, and I'm going to leave the jacket on it for a little while, just till it acclimatises. And then I may take off all the jackets of these if the weather's going to stay good. I'll have to have a look at the weather and see what it's going to do. A lot of guys ask you, how long do you leave your jackets on for and such? Well, I've got no direct answer for that. It all depends on the weather. Yesterday it was freezing cold the day before it. And now it's a real mild day. It's very warm actually today. If it's going to continue like that, we'll probably take the jackets off in the next day or so. As long as it's not just for a day or so. If there's a week of warm weather coming, jackets off. No, not mouth to mouth. Not mouth to mouth. You can get a now shift here handy enough. One across here. Whoop to daisy. Usually I'd get the coal, let her suck the finger for a while to keep her occupied until I get this done. It doesn't move as much, but Nicole's my camera lady for the day, so we're going to let her do that, and I'll just suffer it a wee bit for now. Up to daisy. Oh, that's new friends for a wee while. Some crack here for a wee while, figuring out who's the new tenant that we have. But it'll be much better up here because there's better airflow in this shed. Remember the bull calf? There it is in the last video. Again, improved an awful lot. Getting better every day. We're still not in any panic for it to go anywhere. So just giving it more and more time because it's just doing so well. It just needs a little bit of time and it'll get it here until it's 100% and then it can go off to its new home. Another few days and that calf will make a full recovery. Nicole's going to show off her absolutely skillful grape. We call it a grape, but we call it a fork, we call it a prong. We say grape here. And she's going to demonstrate her skills here. She's well used to it at this stage. I'll leave her alone in case she turns the grape on myself. Now we're down with our 4 calves here who are laying comfortably, chewing the cud, looking out at me. So we have a wee bit of an issue with 2 of our calves, the 2 black ones. Now as you can see, they don't look like there's any issues with them. They're laying there chewing the cud. If you can see them, I'll turn on the light. They're quite happy. But one thing I did notice with them, it was a bit dark. Oh, that's better. One thing I did notice with them is scouring a little bit. Not really scouring, but their dung is a wee bit looser than it should be. It's hard to pick it up, and I hope you aren't devouring into your dinner and watching this. I'm sorry in advance if you are. But the dung has got a little bit looser. Now, apart from the big white one there, which is nearly big as a cow, she's fine. She's a bigger calf. She's maybe a little bit more immune to getting bits and pieces now, but these 2 black ones will be a little bit younger. And sometimes we move them down here and change their diet ever so slightly. You can get a thing called coccidiosis. Some people pronounce it different. Nicole's after pronouncing it. Huh?
There's a bee on you.
There's a bee on me?
On your back.
Where?
It was on your back.
She's picking at me here. Getting a right old kick of it. No flies in calving, people. It's not that they're not thriving. I just see that they're not eating as much as they would have normally ate. They still have good appetites. There's no doubt about that. And they're still growing at a phenomenal rate. But I can see the dung is getting slightly loose, and so I had a wee word with my vet. I've seen this before, I kind of knew what it was, but I had a word with the vet anyway and just described the thing. And coccidiosis, it's quite common. There's loads of things that can cause it. Sometimes even dung getting into the water, even you clean it out, if there was wee fragments of dung in there too, that can get it into the system. It's something you do need to nip on the bud when you see it. Loose dung is one of the #1 symptoms of it. Also, cows can get a fever and can get run down and stop thriving. No matter what you do or what you give them, they can stop thriving, and coccidiosis can be the hidden villain there. So what we're going to do to treat that is Nicole is kindly demonstrating here. This is Bovaclox. One dose normally nips in the bud and that's it. So as you can see there, I'd hate to disturb them. They're so happy they're laying chewing the cud, but I'm going to get them up and they're big and strong, so it could be a wrestling match. The vet recommend doing all 4 of them. No point in just doing the 2. Do all 4 of them and be done with it. So that's what we're going to do. Let's get at it. Nicole's just telling me here that the big one now is scouring slightly this morning, which I didn't think it was. I was looking at it yesterday and its dung was perfect. So maybe it is starting to get it as well. So it does happen like that. It goes through them all. So this could be good crack, catching these girls and doing them. I'm not terribly looking forward to it. Which one? No, the big white one is the one I'm worried about. She might take me on her back of me trousers around this house. But I want to catch you anyway. Nicole's laughing at me, so just play ball. Here we go. Done. Could have done with a jug with a metal hand here, but look at over this corner. Get your backside in there. Yeah, not bother you. There we go. Don't dung into the drinker. Thank you.
There's a big one.
Now it's time to do the elephant. And it knows it. Look at the look I'm getting. Looks like it's ready to charge me. Well, it was the easiest one of the whole lot. That was easy enough. That'd be coccidiosis. Sidiosis. I can't say. Why can't I say that word? Coccidiosis. Coccidiosis no more. That's what I'm trying to say. No, they seem to be grand. They're not, as you can see, it's not affecting them in any way, but it's time to nip it on the bud when you see it early. If that's what it is, which I'm pretty sure that's what it is. I've seen it before and it's quite common enough. So that's it. That's another little job taken care of. We'll let you know how that goes in the future. If there's any more problems with them, but I don't think we'll be having any more problems, hopefully. But that's it. That's that job done. On the next one. Another little question I get asked, and I'm going to just show you now when I'm doing it. Jackets. How and what way do you wash your jackets? Look at, some people have old washing machines outside. I don't suggest you put it in the good washing machine in the house for obvious reasons. I'd never do that. But I find the best way is just lay them out on the concrete, give them a good soak and leave them for a few hours. And then just hose them down. Don't use a power washer on them. If you're going to use a power washer, make sure you can turn the nozzle of it down. Because if you come along and put a big power washer into that, you're going to damage your jackets. And there's no doubt about it. I've seen myself damaging jackets here. You just loosen the fibres on them and then they start to rot, and you're better off not using the power washer. So just give them a good soak, maybe a bit of ordinary washing powder or whatever you have handy, and leave it on them for a few hours, and you'll find the muck will just wash off nice and easily. If you've got some hot water in the dairy, just get a big bucket, put them into the bucket, fill it with hot water, and just leave them in it, put a bit of washing powder in it, and you know what, that'll probably work better than this. But this works grand. I'll leave that now. A few hours, soak it down again before making, give them a hose, hang them out in the line. Job's a good one. Tags. Now you will see tags on sheep and cattle, and if you're not from the farmer background, you might never knew how the whole process works. There's loads of ways you can tell you about this, but tagging basically has always been around. Used to back when I was younger, it was a brass tag in one ear. Then it changed over, I forget, it was a good while ago, and it changed over to these yellow tags. So first of all, we'll put the tags in the calf's ears, and we'll show you the process as we're doing that. So we used to have only one set of taggers when these first came out, and all you had was these blue ones. Maybe there's different colours, I don't know. But then we had to add a second set of taggers which are different. So these ones here are basically for taking a sample out of a calf's ear. So you pop that little boy in there, and you pop this little fella in there. And what happens is, as I clamp this on the calf's ear, there's a little hollow in there. Do you see that little hole? And that little hole there takes a very slight little sample as it cuts through the calf's ear of the tissue. If you look at the calf's ear, it's hard to see on this one. See the two veins? Well, you want to put your tag centre of the calf's ear between them two veins if you can. That's the best place. Some people do miss it. I know it's awkward, sometimes the calves move around a lot, but you want to try to get it kind of in the centre of the ear between them two veins. There we have it. Do it nice and quick so it doesn't hurt the calf. So that's our first tag done. Now that's the sample tag. Next thing we have to do with that is get our tag kit again and pull out this little capsule. Now this little capsule also has the tag number embroidered on it there. You can see it on the sticker. It's very hard to see with this light, but it's there. And that number matches the tag to that specific calf. We pop this in here onto that. So our sample is in this little rod. Sample is in there. It's very hard to see it, but there's a little tiny skin sample in there. That goes on there. Squeeze it together. Sometimes my tagger doesn't squeeze it tight enough. So all I do is give it a little magic tap. Push this, pop it out, and there's your sample. So that little sample then will go into a little plastic bag. And I leave it at my milk tank, and my milk man will take it away with him. And that will go off to the processor and be sent off to a lab and be tested for a thing called BVD. Bovine viral disease. People have different names for it, but I certainly have one name for it, and I better not say it on camera. About 2 or 3 days time I get text messages on my phone, and hopefully it'll be negative, and that'll give me a clear cert. If you want to sell calves, for instance, you need to have this clear before you can sell a calf off your farm. And so that's the BVD sampling. The next thing we do is we take our ordinary taggers and we put in the other tag. Same thing again, only this time you have a pint on it here just to go through the calf's ear rather than taking any sample. Nice and steady. There we go. Done. That tag will stay on that calf throughout his life, and that's how we know it. In this case, it's 988, and it's a heifer calf that will be staying with us, so we'll know it is 988, unless the kids decide to name it, as they have done on most animals. So what happens next, basically, is you have to register that animal. Now that used to be done on a piece of paper, a little form you just fill out. You fill out the breed, the cow's number, well, the dam number, the sire number, but let's just say the cow's number, the calf's number, and the cow that had this calf, obviously, that's what I mean. Date of birth, obviously, too. And you send that off. That used to be what was done with paper. You send it off, and then in a week's time, you'd have your card. Now it's done much quicker. It's all nearly online. You have several options. You can go on agfood.ie, register it that way, or you can go on apps there is now, like Herdwatch and so on, and you can just register it here in the house as you're working. But that's the way it's done. It's just times are moving forward, and people are using more and more technology now, and stuff has kind of been done online. I will admit, I'm a bit old-fashioned. I still have a book on a piece of paper, and I still write most of it all down, and people might say to you, why do you bother when you're using apps and things on your phone? Well, I still write it on down just as a backup. That's just the way I operate, but I still have it on physical paper as well, although I don't look at it very often. It's there if I need it. You'll also see a barcode below the tags. You see the barcode. You have all these fancy things now. You can even use the app on your phone as well, and just scan that barcode and you get the whole details that pop up in front of you. Even as you register them, you can scan that if you want to go into all that kind of stuff. I don't honestly bother with that. I keep it simple, and a lot of people say that is the simple way of doing it. I just never changed. But yeah, there's loads of ways you can do things. That's just the joys of the modern world. But that is how we tag our calves. So that's it for the day's video. I'm on my way over here to get the cows for this evening's milking. But we have something coming up that I want to give a little bit of a mention about. It's something we're planning, and it's going to be completely new to the channel, and it's going to be a series of videos that we're going to be doing over the summertime. I think you guys will enjoy it. I know it's not a new project because I have enough of those, but no, this is different. This is going to take us off the farm. Put it this way, farmers do an awful lot for this country and an awful lot for the world, and sometimes it never gets shown in the proper light. I've seen a lot of things over the last year especially trying to give a lot of farmers a bad name. Look, they have their own agendas and their own reasons for doing that, but the reality is much different. And thank God in a way there's YouTube, because now there's farmers all over YouTube and they're showing actually the real workings on the farm, and an awful lot of people from the non-farming background are starting to see more and more what happens actually on a farm, not something that's fabricated and made to look in a certain way. So with that in mind, I'm going to be visiting a few different farms that are very different to my own and very different from the norm, in fact. Somebody who shakes the thing up and isn't afraid to try something new. So I have a few farms already lined up that we're going to be starting to go and visiting now soon. I think it's something you guys will enjoy, because there's people out there who work night and day, puts blood, sweat and tears into what they do, just to provide for their families and to help feed the world, because after all, that's what farming does. And something I'm really looking forward to. It's going to be something very different, so that's coming very soon. Anyway folks, I'm going to leave it there for now, and if you don't want to miss any of that, don't forget, hit that sub button, give us a like. Until the next one, we'll talk to you again. Alright, my ladies, it's milking time.